News. We have a massive update. This very well could be absolutely tremendously huge, or it could be just a timing coincidence here. It appears that Taiwan has been hit by widespread power outages. Now, if you know anything about what is going on with Taiwan and China, you would know that they are obviously being watched for a massive invasion themselves. The whole world has been watching, of course, what is going on with Ukraine. China, we just covered last night and the night before. We have been following the Chinese media. Just yesterday, China's mouthpieces, almost all of them, put out a separate article saying that the U.S. could not handle two fronts, let alone even one, basically two conflicts. In fact, our last video over on Marfoogle TV is two fronts. That's what it's labeled because they were essentially their opinion is that we couldn't even handle taking on Russia by ourselves, let alone taking on both at the same time. We have watched this the entire time. Now there's power outage. First of all, how they have worked out the war games of how Taiwan would be taken is that they would affect their communications and their power first. And then, of course, we would be late to the party. So essentially, how they have worked it out, even from their side and our side, is that they would go in there as quick as possible, try to get on the beach, try to take as much as they can. But they do know by the time that they take the initial beaches and things, that the U.S. would then start responding. I don't know where our boats were, but I know that we had at least two carrier groups. But remember, China was practicing in the desert, taking out specifically our U.S. carriers. They had full-size, full replicas of all of our carriers and our destroyers, and they were practicing their high-tech weapons on them in the desert. So we had satellite photos of that. We know that they have been building, of course, all of their civilian ferries. Any kind of larger boat has been made under a law that they passed with the future, essentially the future purpose of being used to transport tanks, troops, and soldiers, and so on. So what's crazy is just 2 hours ago, actually about 4 hours ago, T-Man said he believes that China may invade Taiwan sooner rather than later because they're seeing how stupid the United States is run. That's what his quote was, right? Well, I think that besides the opinions on this, I would say that if we're looking at the response to that and the way that China has run their culture, again, this is pretty big. Now, if the power just goes out and they're just hacking and this is to scare people, then again, I don't know how big this could be. It says that Taiwan reported a massive blackout on Thursday that is affecting its two biggest cities as well as its most important iPhone processor production hub. Government officials estimate about 5 million households are affected by the power outages, including in Taipei, the capital, and Kaohsiung, the second biggest city. Taiwan Power Company said in a brief statement that its southern power grid system encountered a malfunction causing blackouts in southern Taiwan. Knock-on effects from the outage triggered power outages in some parts of northern and central Taiwan as well. The malfunction took place in Kaohsiung's Hyacinthe power plant, the biggest power plant in southern Taiwan, according to the company. Now, that is the official kind of story here. We also know that the Taiwan power companies, the power plants, have been a target. Would the world kind of leaders be telling us something else to prevent panic? Would they be telling us something else to cover up a smaller kind of cyber incursion? Is Taiwan being hit by some sort of cyber event? Is some sort of blackout communications wise to be next? Again, if this just ends up being a massive power outage, I still think that people are going to be suspicious of it. Either way, we are going to add this to marfooglenews.com. You can go check out. And then I'll be watching this very closely because here's the thing. We have all been waiting for something like this to happen. I personally believe that Russia and China have been close no limits partners, and they have been meeting way too much as far as him taking Ukraine. I've said that, look at this hand over here. Well, this hand is over here. Nobody has been paying attention to China except for a couple little pieces. But now, of course, something like this is very suspicious. Of course, if you look at the last year and a half, we have had these massive power outages happen. And Mexico had 10 million out of power. You had Venezuela have a massive countrywide, and that one was, of course, attributed to some sort of hacking, and it eventually ended up tying back to the United States through a gentleman in Florida, I believe. You've had Cuba have a massive kind of communications blackout. You've had all sorts of weird things that have happened around the planet. Now, as far as this goes, I'm hoping that it is not what we think, but at the same time, something like this could very quickly turn into a real event. By morning, here in the United States, we could be hearing that they had just taken the beach on Taiwan. Or we could hear that, hey, they got their power on and everything is good. Also, there was a M-class solar flare, so this could be solar related. Of course, I'll most likely have somebody like Wages World come on tomorrow and talk about this. He spends all of his time over on Wages World covering sun events and solar events. Another thing that I want to talk about is, of course, certain scientists that are following, I believe, the 22-year cycle. One of them is named Dr. Limon, I believe, or PhD Limon. But they have talked about a termination event just happening with solar cycle 24. Now, from my understanding, we were in 25, but what they are saying is that they just got kind of an official termination event of 24. Like 24 was still hanging around and 25 is here, and that the 24 termination event means, how he quoted it is that the solar cycle 24, which had a grand solar minimum, was cramping the style of course, solar cycle 25, which very well could be extremely unpredictable. We could have a massive solar event. Every group of kind of solar observers and a lot of people are talking about massive events happening with the sun around 2023 to 2025. Which also lines up with a lot of stuff that we have looked into, like Edwin J. Deagle's Deagle Report, which also shows just a mysterious number of people kind of disappearing off the planet Earth. Remember, Edwin J. Deagle that ran that website was also working under multiple presidents. He spent his entire life with statistics, and he, I believe it may have been Reagan or Nixon even, said that he was like the Albert Einstein's of statistics. Like, he could predict things with the statistics. He used to make the Deagle Report, if you look into the fine print, studies and different things from all over the world, including the UN, including the three-letter agency starting with a W, ending with a HO. So lots of different things went into that, and some people believe it, some people don't. Either way, I definitely think it's creeped a lot of us out for years. So we're watching this, and we will make sure to report if this is truly something or if it's truly nothing. Either way, we'll update. Look for updates in the comments as well. We covered the nuclear plant, or the nuclear processing facility, Hanford. There was a potential event where they said that employees were told to run, hide, or fight. I actually got, we had one of my good friends is an employee there and gave us the direct notices from the company. Somebody made a comment because it was like 6 or 7 hours later on the community post, not realizing that it was a 7-hour post, and said, "Do you even do your research? Nothing happened. They cleared it," and everything else. Make sure to check the comments and make sure to check community posts, because I do post things there. Obviously, at the time of posting that, we were getting real-time events from an actual employee. We didn't redact most of the stuff there, so it was directly from the source. And we did all 7 updates until we put the final update where it was cleared and it was okayed. I believe the 8th update was that they checked everything out and nobody was there and it was all good. Very scary when you have a facility that has low risk and medium risk, nuclear waste that somebody gets a hold of and can make a dirty boom boom. So again, that was kind of freaky. That happened yesterday or the day before. So remember to check community posts. Remember to check our website, marfooglenews.com. Also, make sure to go over there, and if you would like to support us, we're independent. Go over and check out marfooglenews.com/prep. If you've been looking for long-term survival food, the buckets, and again, the things that can actually hold out for years, make sure to go over, check it out. It's powered by Patriot Supply, and it also helps out our channel, and you end up getting a discount in most cases as well. That's again, marfooglenews.com/prep. Thank you everybody that supports us. We will be following this scenario. We also have all of the Foogle fam and all of the mods watching it as well. So thank you guys. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.